As I progressed in my 20s, I got back pain, which is quite unusual for men to get that early. And then by the time I was in my early 30s, I was already been through all the opiates or whatever, codeine, and strong opiate painkillers. On top of that, ibuprofen and paracetamol every day, which isn't good for your liver and stuff. A friend of mine, though, who was a big advocate of oils, especially THC, CBD, 50-50 oils, so they're half-half. He was branching about these for so long, and I always ignored what he said. All right, whatever, man, whatever. I already smoke weed. What's the difference? I decided to try these oils, and after years of opiates giving me some relief or moderate relief, the first night in the oil, I slept through the entire night, and I had work the next day and actually missed my alarm, which I hadn't done since I was a teenager. I never missed my alarm. And I woke up and I didn't even care. I was like, oh my God, like that night of sleep was the best I'd had in 10 years. It was just worth missing that one day of work. Hi, my name's Grant Mitchell. I've been a medical cannabis user for many years now. I use it mainly for anxiety, back pain, and I find it helps with my effects of my ADHD. I've always been an outdoor worker. I've been doing landscape, garden maintenance, that kind of work. I take quite an enjoyment being in nature, being around trees, birds, bees, all that kind of stuff. So I've always been an outdoorsy kind of person. Just recently though, the last 4 or 5 years, I started working online in e-commerce. I eventually set up my own website selling cannabis pipes and all that kind of stuff, or any kind of smoking accessories. So I've kind of moved away from the outdoor work these days and focusing on the cannabis industry. That's where I truly feel like work isn't even work. Australia in general, I would say, we're a bit behind the US. We're kind of, I'd say, 10, 20 years behind. Cannabis has always been seen as just recreational only, no medicinal benefits whatsoever. So growing up 20 years ago, I used cannabis recreationally, and it was put in the same basket as all drugs, heavy drugs. You get your cannabis from the same people you bought heavy drugs from. Just by using cannabis, you were instantly involved with the much heavier, shady side of the underworld. We definitely did get news of when legalization first spread in the US. That to us was just like, we thought you guys had lost the plot. And we thought you guys were a bunch of loonies legalizing weed. And that was on the news, it's kind of like, look at these idiots. I can't believe they're giving out weed for free in the hospitals. That seemed just so far-fetched. Even a few years ago, before medical cannabis was legalized here, and I said, our government will never allow it. I go, the best we will have here is oils and sprays or tablets. I go, our government will never allow flower, like actual buds, to be taken home and smoked. These days, I'm a medical user. I think there's 1 million scripts or something given out last year, which is quite a lot considering our small country. But still, the general public have no idea that medical cannabis is a thing. You can't go walking around using it in public without getting some looks. If you're smoking cannabis in public, even if it's legal, people don't know that, and they will call the police, and the police will turn up. And half the time, the police themselves don't even know about it. You've got to show them your tub with your script on it. They'll have to make a few phone calls, and it won't be a smooth process. Smokers kind of know each other, but you don't talk about it freely at work or with your families. Everyone keeps it really on the down low still, which is a shame. I was young, my early teenage years. I think I tried it with my brother and some of his friends or something. And I'd always had a very hyperactive mind. I was always bouncing off walls, that kind of thing. And I remember the first time I felt the effect come on, and instantly I thought, wow, I need to be like this. My mind just finally slowed, and I could finally hold a thought and actually complete a thought. Teachers obviously wouldn't approve of me waking and baking before school. But man, when I was stoned, I would just sit there in class quiet and just listen from the start of the lesson to the end. And I'd walk out and I took all the information in. Whereas before I used cannabis, I wouldn't listen to anything. I'd bounce off walls. I was always the class clown. I guess I thought I was using it recreationally, but looking back now, it was 100% medicinal. During the day when I'm working, I have AD, my mind wanders. So I find a sativa flower works best for me during the day. I use Mac 1, which I don't know if you guys have that there. I think it's about 22% THC. I find it doesn't get me overly intoxicated, but it helps me just to focus on one task and complete the jobs. Every night, due to back pain, I take an oil, which is a 25 milligram of THC, 25 milligrams of CBD oil per mil. Take half a mil per night. So it's only 12 milligrams of THC and 12 milligrams of CBD. That does me wonders. Like, I've never had a bad night on it. Every night I sleep through the night. And then I have the topaz. The topaz is the one that I use when I just want to laugh, relax, play video games. I don't use that every night. I use that maybe 3-4 nights a week. That's the one I find is a really heavy hitter. That's an indica flower. I like those for nighttime. And that's my kind of recreational flower, I'd say. That's my kind of setup. Sativa for the daytime, indica when I want to relax, and oils for simply back pain relief during the night. do your own research, speak to not just friends, but speak to doctors, speak to medical professionals, and get some real advice, because cannabis is a drug, but it also has many healing properties. There's ways to take cannabis which don't get you high. You can get medicinal benefits from cannabis by ingesting THC, which doesn't get you high, by taking doses of CBD, which don't get you high. It's not just about getting high and being stoned. That's not what medical cannabis is. Don't be afraid. Realize that this is a natural product, and there's so many things you can stop using and replace with just cannabis, and not have to jump on that merry-go-round of pharmaceuticals where you're going from one pill to the next and trying this. So many people move to cannabis and give up so many other things that they were taking. Pills, potions, lotions, all these things, they're all chemicals. And cannabis is much more natural, and for most people, the side effects are very minimal and the health benefits are just undeniable. Once I switched the oils, I was able to not only get more relief, but I was getting constipation from the opiates. I was taking something to do with constipation. I was also getting indigestion from it. I was taking something to deal with indigestion. So I was on a whole cycle of tablets, it felt like, just a roundabout almost. The oil, that was my only thing. From then on, in that day forward, I just kind of threw everything away. I have a big dose of oil every night. You don't need to redose, or you don't wake up in the night. The oils here too being mixed 50-50 with CBD and THC. It reduces the psychoactive effect, but increases its medicinal benefit. So you can take a higher dose without particularly getting more stoned. Without sleep, I'm miserable, cranky, angry, all that stuff. With sleep, I'm a different person. Like, just changes my whole outlook on life. I'm positive now because I know I'm going to get a good night's sleep every night of the week, all due to just medicinal cannabis.
Learn more about cannabis and begin your medical cannabis journey at leafwell.com.